Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. Today we're doing things a little bit differently, as this piece is not one of mine. It comes straight from the Ulysse Nardin factory in Laloc, Switzerland. The watch is the Ulysse Nardin Diver Net from the Ops collection. The Diver Net Ops, this was a 2023 announcement. The Ops collection inspired by tactical special warfare elite cadre, and so we have all sorts of subdued tones, anti-glare treatments, and khaki green and beige right here. So a military-inspired diver. This one is also inspired by conservation and ecology with a surprising amount of recycled and upcycled material. So the Diver Net Ops is not something you can buy if you want this example, but I do have pull with the factory and access. So if you want to own one, we can get you one just like this factory prototype. Reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability. Today, this watch is large. There's no doubting 44 millimeters is a large timepiece in 2024, though you're going to be surprised by the way it wears. 15 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip. It is 50.7 millimeters with a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. We're going to throw this on my wrist of 16 centimeters circumference, and I have to say that ergonomically this watch is a bit of a triumph. First, I love Velcro straps, but that's a bit besides the point. The watch itself fits beautifully. This is a watch that I would describe as fitting true to its rated size, maybe even a little bit smaller, as a sub 51 millimeter lug to lug for a 44 is really quite compact. It is not thin though, and you can see being relatively sheer with a cantilever to the bezel, it's not going to fit underneath tight dress cuffs, but it will fit underneath jacket cuffs. So on that front, success. Do I believe you could wear this watch on a smaller wrist than mine? I'm going to say probably not. I'm going to say maybe 15 centimeters if your wrist is oval and flat across the top. Otherwise, 16 centimeters circumference and up. This fits, sits, and feels awesome. Now, taking a look at this strap, you don't often see Velcro on watches. Typically, you're either going to see it on a meat-of-the-market style Speedmaster, because that's how the astronauts wear it, or $1 million Richard Mille. But what we've got here is a strap that within a certain range has limitless fine adjustment. That's the advantage of Velcro. There are no predefined slots here. You can see that we have a little stop on the end with the Ulysse Nardin name and logo, so it can't pull through the titanium loop that retains it, so that guards against disaster. The strap, an upcycled product primarily of recovered fishing nets. It's part of the conservation theme of the watch, which continues on the crown shoulders, which are made of nylon recycled from fishing nets, and then the case, which in DLC-coated steel is 95% recycled metal. Impressive. You can also see here that we have proprietary screws used to fix the strap to the case. A nice secure setup that actually gives more peace of mind than a spring bar, since you don't have to worry about a spring bar popping out easily as often happens. The screw system is more secure. Speaking of which, we screw down the crown, and this watch is 300 meters water resistant. Case profiles are simple. You can see we have lugs integrated into the case band and then a little bit of a fluting down their edges. We also have a plate with the number on the flank. Again, this is a prototype number, but yours would be a certain number fixed by bolts, just like on the marine chronometers that made the reputation of Ulysse Nardin in the 19th and early 20th century. That's why the company logo is an anchor, marine navigation via deck clocks. The bezel features a combination of satin and polish on its knurling. The knurling is chunky and satisfying, easy to grip with wet, sweaty, or gloved hands. The detent or the click is super satisfying. I describe it as on par with Rolex and the rare but fine Cartier Calibre de Cartier diver, which I've always considered to be exemplars and standards of reference for bezel feel. So 120 clicks, and that's not the end of it. This bezel also features an enormous amount of luminescence, so you can read individual minutes up to 20 and then 5-minute increments all the way around. This gives you more information when you're diving, and I've always said I'll take a dive bezel over a chronograph any day of the week. Easier to read, cheaper to service, and I rarely time anything over 60 minutes anyway. Now if you go back, you can see that both the power reserve indicator index and the running seconds. They are loomed. So with the seconds loomed, you know if the watch is running when you take it diving. That's kind of critical, as a stopped dive watch, especially if you're relying on it, can be dangerous. The dial features a lovely frosted base. You can see a granular tarmac-like surface with the X motif that's become a recent emblem of Ulysse Nardin. Ulysse Nardin, independent again, bought back from the luxury group Kering. Ulysse Nardin is owned and run by the same group, so management owned and operated, and they're going to make about 10,000 watches a year, so not a whole lot, just about 2 times RM, but broken up over many models and model lines, so your chance of seeing any given Ulysse Nardin model or reference, if you own one, you're probably not going to encounter one like it. Taking a look at the dial, you can see applied rhodium-plated steel indices with a nice khaki tone. We have khaki green and a more traditional khaki beige. If you look, there's a carbonium dished insert on the bezel, and that is made from recycled post-industrial carbon fiber that comes from aerospace suppliers. So this too is recycled, not just the steel of the case, the nylon of the crown guards, and that of the strap. We do have a little sub-seconds with 1846, the year the brand was founded. This combination of hands at center, seconds at the base, and a power reserve indicator up at the top, drawn from the company's traditional marine chronometers. Now, this is the stop seconds function. Notice that the second hand isn't moving. So that is how you set the watch to a reference time. There's also an intermediate position that allows me to quick set the date, but check this out. It is a bidirectional quick set, a very rare feature. We also have a power reserve indicator up at the top. This watch has a 60-hour automatic winding power reserve, but if you wish to wind it automatically, it's going to move slowly. If you wind it manually, that power reserve indicator is really going to scoot, and then you get to see how it operates in real time. We'll screw that crown back down. Taking a look, you can see the crown features a little bit of inlaid lacquering with a combination of polish and satination. Flip it all over, we have UN caliber 118. So automatic winding, you can see it uses a pawl-based magic lever style bidirectional winding system for very efficient winding action. 60-hour power reserve. And then taking a quick look at center, you can see that not only do we have a bidirectional magic lever winder, but we have these little ceramic bearings. So this is a hybrid ceramic ball bearing for extra efficiency. We have a full balance bridge with a free sprung architecture for shock resistance, with the free sprung balance making for more precise adjustment. It is a very shock tolerant but also precise adjusting refinement to have. All this beats away at 4 Hertz or 28,800 vibrations per hour and pivots on 50 joules. You can see it's nicely decorated with circular Côte de Genève as well as fire-blued screws. The movement goes through the UN certification program, which is a fully cased up test of the watch, not a bare movement like the COSC, and it is tolerant of 0 seconds lost per 24 hours, which is a true feather in its cap. What you can't see too well here is that we have silicon escapement coated with synthetic diamond to reduce oscillating mass, reduce the need for lubricant to the bare minimum, and also reduce the effect of magnetism. The hairspring also anti-magnetic silicon, and Ulysse Nardin, uniquely for a small company making its own silicon through its Sigatech subsidiary, is probably the smallest watch brand in the business that can do this without asking permission to buy the materials from some large luxury group. There is a lot to love on this watch. Based on a 2020 concept watch, it's essentially something from the show floor come to life. If you've ever seen a concept car like the Dodge Viper or Plymouth Prowler that made it unadulterated to the road, you know it's quite a sight, and this watch is exactly like that. From a brand that is upwardly mobile and once again independent, reach out to me, Team Mosso, at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing of this Ulysse Nardin.